Welcome to Site Flash.
Site Flash.
Site Flash.
Site Flash.
Site Flash.
Site Flash. Welcome to Site Flash.
Welcome Site Flash. Welcome siteflash.org.
Tell you what, a person who believes that this wasn't set up by our own government is an idiot.
Assalamu alaikum.
It's the assignment.
Hello, my name is Mr. Quick. I would like to welcome you.
Of adjectives and adverbs and how important they can be when using them in your sentences and why you should be very familiar with them. We talked about the adjective last time, and now we want to talk about the adverb. And you need to go ahead and get your notebook out so you can take some notes. I know you may feel like you already know this, you know, this is really easy, but sometimes you'd be quite surprised. Okay. Adverbs, of course, modify an active verb or a verb phrase by expressing manner, place, time, degree, and or number. And adverbs really give specific meaning to your sentences. It tells us what is going on to a specific degree. So you can imagine how important that is in your sentences here. We have different types of adverbs. We have simple, we have interrogative, and we have negative. These are three types of adverbs that we have in our sentences. So let's talk about each one of them. Let's look at these sentences here in adverbs in a general way. He moved quickly. Of course, we know the verb is moved, and if we want to, quietly, and if we want to add more specifics to this sentence and telling us how he did what he did, we add an adverb, quietly. And this is what I like to call a traditional adverb, because it ends with ly. Yes. And it tells us the manner and tells us how. Yes, I waited there for an hour. Of course, we have there is the adverb, and it is telling us where the person waited. Yes. Adverbs, of course, give us more information about the verb. It tells us, in this sentence, it's telling us the place, and of course, it's telling us where. Next sentence, you may leave soon. And of course, the adverb in this sentence is soon, and it's giving us more information about leaving, and it's answering the question of time, and it's telling us when. Yes, all dealing with time here, and this is very important for your reader to know, or your listener, if you're speaking, to get an idea of time. Yes. Next sentence, I called you once. In this sentence, of course, where the adverb is once, and it's telling us about called. It's giving us more information about called, and the information it's giving us about called is the number of times, and it tells us, of course, it's telling us how many. It's telling us number, and it's telling us how many. So you didn't call 3, 4, 5 times, you called once. The next sentence, he sat very still. And of course, the adverb in this sentence is very, and it's giving us more information about sat. And it's telling us the degree and how the person, or how much of a degree the person sat. And it's telling us, of course, how much. Very interesting here. Adverbs give us a lot of information about our sentence here. Actually, the very is modifying both sat and still. Yes, because you can say he sat still, but to really give the reader an image in their head, in their mind, you put very still. So that means there was no movement. Maybe the person wasn't even moving their eyes. Yes, this is very, very interesting what adverbs can do for your sentences. Let's start off with interrogative adverb here. Yes. What we just covered was simple adverbs, adverbs in general. Now let's be a little more specific here. Interrogative adverbs here introduces a sentence that asks a question, of course. Interrogative comes from interrogate. Of course, I know you've heard this before, interrogation. Your parents interrogate you when you come home late. They ask you, you know, all the how, when, why, all of these, you know, these questions they ask you about why you're coming in late. That can be considered an interrogation. So interrogative adverbs, of course, they introduce sentences that ask a question. When, where, when, why, and how are the standard interrogative sentences or interrogative adverbs that start off the interrogative sentences here. Now let's look at some examples here. When will you return? And of course you can imagine your parents asking you that question definitely when you are about to leave the house. And the interrogative adverb here is starting off the sentence. It is when, and it's telling us when. How is the trunk being sent? Yes, the word trunk here is like a box that can open and you can put things in it. It's called a trunk, okay? Not to be confused with the trunk of an elephant. Okay, but the interrogative adverb here is how. And in this case, we're trying to find out how the trunk is being sent, or in what manner is it going to be sent, and we use the interrogative adverb how. Yes. Negative adverbs, yes, let's talk about that. And of course the word negative comes from negate, and it just means negative or something that is the opposite of positive. It denies or contradicts a statement, yes. And here are some of the negative adverbs: no, not, never, only, scarcely, and hardly. And you have to be careful how you use these in a sentence and how many of them you use in a sentence, because two negative adverbs should not be used together in a sentence. It's called a double negative. And in writing, in the world of writing, a double negative is a no-no. So if at all possible, you should try to avoid using double negatives or using two negative adverbs in a sentence. And I know you're probably trying to figure out, well, what does that mean? So let's look at an example. First, an example of a sentence that is correct, a negative adverb being correctly used. I can scarcely believe my eyes. Yes, scarcely, of course, adverb being used very correctly in this sentence here, and it's telling you of course, that you can hardly use believe what you are seeing. You can't believe it. It's so difficult for you to believe. Let's look at an incorrect usage of negative adverb. I haven't no more seashells. Okay, here we have two negative adverbs side by side, and they're both basically doing the same thing, which makes it unnecessary to use both of them. You can say I haven't more seashells, and the sentence would be correct. So you want to try to avoid using these double negatives, and some students at their beginning stages in sentence structure and sentence writing, they use a lot of double negatives when trying to express themselves. So we want to try to be careful about that, using double negatives in a sentence to negative adverbs. We want to avoid it. Yes, okay. Here are some familiar adverbs that you should know. You might want to write these down in your notes. Almost, finally, seldom, usually, certain, hardly, quiet, quite, so, usually, just, rather, very, rather, fairly, nearly, to, and that too is the also to. Scarcely and well. And of course there are many other adverbs, but these are adverbs know very well and that you should be using in your sentences. Yes, so if you want to get those down, that pretty much, I guess I give you a minute to, you want to write down, pause the video if you want to. Okay, well, that pretty much does it for our talk, our discussion about adjectives and adverbs. And of course, I hope you have learned something new, because I know these are pretty basic. This is basic stuff. So I hope you've learned something new, and I hope you took some good notes, and I hope that you can apply this information to your writing to make your sentences awesome, totally awesome.
Tell you what, a person who believes that this wasn't set up by our own government is an idiot.